Hello. Are you still awake out there? Are you sure about that? Can you hear me? Are you ready to shake up the world? Welcome to the revolution of love, to the rebellion, to our refusal as women to accept this new age of tyranny, where not just women are in danger, but all marginalized people, where being uniquely different right now might truly be considered a crime. It took this horrific moment of darkness to wake us the f*** up. It seems as though we had all slipped into a false sense of comfort, that justice would prevail and that good would win in the end. Well, good did not win this election, but good will win in the end. So what today means is that we are far from the end. Today marks the beginning of our story. The revolution starts here. The fight for the right to be free, to be who we are, to be equal. Let's march together through this darkness, and with each step, know that we are not afraid. That we are not alone. That we will not back down. That there is power in our unity, and that no opposing force stands a chance in the face of true solidarity. And to our detractors that insist that this march will never add up to anything, f*** you. You. It is the beginning of much needed change. Change that will require sacrifice, people. Change that will require many of us to make different choices in our lives. But this is the hallmark of revolution. So, my question to you today is, are you ready? I said, are you ready? Say, yes, we're ready. Say, yes, we're ready. One more time, you're ready. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. But I know that this won't change anything. We cannot fall into despair. As the poet W.H. Auden once wrote on the eve of World War II, we must love one another or die. I choose love. Are you with me? Say this with me. We choose love.
We choose love.
We choose love. We choose love.
Oh
Michael,
Ashley!
my name is Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd is here!
And I am a feminist. And I want to say hello to Independence Avenue in the back, all the way down to 17th Street.
Wow!
And I bring you words from Nina Donovan, a 19-year-old in Middle Tennessee, and she has given me the privilege of telling you what she has to say. I am a nasty woman. I'm not as nasty as a man who looks like he bathes in Cheeto dust. A man whose words are a diss track to America. Electoral college sanctioned hate speech contaminating this national anthem. I'm not as nasty as Confederate flags being tattooed across my city. Maybe the South actually is gonna rise again. Maybe for some, it never really fell. Blacks are still in shackles and graves just for being black. Slavery has been reinterpreted as the prison system in front of people who see melanin as animal skin. I am not as nasty as a swastika painted on a pride flag. And I didn't know devils could be resurrected, but I feel Hitler in these streets. A mustache traded for a toupee. Nazis renamed the cabinet electroconversion therapy, the new gas chambers, shaming the gay out of America, turning rainbows into suicide notes. I am not as nasty as racism, fraud, conflict of interest, homophobia, sexual assault, transphobia, white supremacy, misogyny, ignorance, white privilege. I'm not as nasty as using little girls like Pokemon before their bodies have even developed. I am not as nasty as your own daughter being your favorite sex symbol. Like your wet dreams infused with your own genes. But yeah, I'm a nasty woman. A loud, vulgar, proud woman. I'm not nasty like the combo of Trump and Pence being served up to me in my voting booth. I'm nasty like the battles my grandmothers fought to get me into that voting booth. I'm nasty like the fight for wage equality. Scarlett Johansson, why were the female actors paid less than half of what the male actors earned last year? See, even when we do go into higher paying jobs, our wages are still cut with blades sharpened by testosterone. Why is the work of a black woman and a Hispanic woman worth only 63 and 54 cents of a white man's privileged daughter? This is not a feminist myth. This is inequality. So we are not here to be debunked. We are here to be respected. We are here to be nasty. I'm nasty. Like my blood stains on my bed sheets. We don't actually choose if and when to have our periods. Believe me, if we could, some of us would. We don't like throwing away our favorite pairs of underpants. Tell me, why are pads and Tampax still taxed? Ooh, that was a brand name. Why are tampons and pads still taxed when Viagra and Rogaine are not? Is your erection really more than protecting the sacred, messy part of my womanhood? Is the blood stain on my jeans more embarrassing than the thinning of your hair? I know it is hard to look at your own entitlement and privilege. You may be afraid of the truth. I am unafraid to be honest. It may sound petty, bringing up a few extra cents. It adds up to the pile of change I have yet to see in my country. I can't see. My eyes are too busy praying to my feet, hoping you don't mistake eye contact for wanting physical contact. Half my life I have been zipping up my smile, hoping you don't think I want to unzip your jeans. I am unafraid to be nasty because I am nasty, like Susan, Elizabeth, Eleanor, Amelia, Rosa, Gloria, Condoleezza, Sonia, Malala, Michelle, Hillary. And our ain't for grabbing. Therefore, reminding you that our walls are stronger than America's ever will be. Our are for our pleasure. They are for birthing new generations of filthy, vulgar, nasty, proud, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Sikh, you name it, for new generations of nasty women. So if you, a nasty woman, or you love one who is, let me hear you say, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love you. Thank you.
My name is America Ferreira. And I am deeply honored to march with you today as the chair of the Artist Table, as a woman and as a proud first-generation American born to Honduran immigrants. It's been a heart-rending time to be both a woman and an immigrant in this country. Our dignity, our character, our rights have all been under attack, and a platform of hate and division assumed power yesterday. But the president is not America. His cabinet is not America. Congress is not America. We are America. And we are here to stay. We march today for our families and our neighbors, for our future, for the causes we claim and for the causes that claim us. We march today for the moral core of this nation, against which our new president is waging a war. He would like us to forget the words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free," and instead take up a credo of hate, fear, and suspicion of one another. But we are gathered here and across the country and around the world today to say, Mr. Trump, we refuse. We reject the demonization of our Muslim brothers and sisters. We demand an end to the systemic murder and incarceration of our Black brothers and sisters. We will not give up our right to safe and legal abortions. We will not ask our LGBTQ families to go backwards. We will not go from being a nation of immigrants to a nation of ignorance. We won't build walls, and we won't see the worst in each other. And we will not turn our backs on the more than 750,000 young immigrants in this country currently protected by DACA. They are hardworking, upstanding, courageous individuals who refuse to live in the shadow of fear and isolation. They bravely took to the streets to declare themselves and to provide a voice and hope for their community. Today, we march with and for them. Together, we, all of us, will fight, resist, and oppose every single action that threatens the lives and dignity of any and all of our communities. Marchers, make no mistake. We are, every single one of us, under attack. Our safety and freedoms are on the chopping block, and we are the only ones who can protect one another. If we do not stand together, march together, fight together for the next 4 years, then we will lose together. Our opposition knows how to stick together. They are united in their agenda to hold this country back and to thwart progress. It is in their slogan. So we too must stand united. If we commit to what aligns us, if we stand together, steadfast and determined, then we stand a chance at saving the soul of our country. So let's march together. And at this point, we want everyone to take out your cell phone and text women to 40649. Sign up with us so that we can continue to work together. This is only day one in our united movement. So take out your phone and text women to 40649. Let's march.
control your lives, our lives. And that means the right to decide whether and when to give birth without government interference. We are here and around the world for a deep democracy that says we will not be quiet, we will not be controlled, we will work for a world in which all countries are connected. God may be in the details, but the goddess is in connections. We are at one with each other. We are looking at each other, not up. No more asking daddy. We are linked. We are not ranked. And this is a day that will change us forever because we are together. Each of us individually and collectively will never be the same again. When we elect a possible president, we too often go home. We've elected an impossible president. We're never going home. We're staying together, and we're taking over. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Make sure you introduce yourselves to each other and decide what we're going to do tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and we're never turning back. Thank you.
I love the fact that there's so much diversity here, and I think this is wonderful for Charlotte. It just shows what a strong community we have, and it just shows how we have a voice, and we want to be heard. And we are out here, we are marching not only for women's rights, but we're marching for our future. As you can see here, we're marching for equality.
Okay, we came from Durham, North Carolina. We took the train yesterday morning. We got here around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we made our signs last night. We had dinner. We're staying at Alexandria, and I woke up this morning and got dressed and got on the metro, and now we're here.
I'm a first-generation immigrant, and this really hits home very strong. Like everything that's going on with the things he's threatening, the rights he's talking about taking away, the way he wants to treat immigrants as second-class citizens is just unacceptable. And my parents didn't come here for this reason, so I'm here for them.
Why are you two ladies, young ladies here?
Well, I wanted to be part of this important moment in history. Like, I think that this is going to be remembered for a long time, so I wanted to be part of it.
I agree with Katie. Women should have equal speech as men, and growing up, we have a opportunity to change, and this is one of the ways that we can change America and make it more fair for women.
This is seen as an anti-President Trump march as well. Trump got elected yesterday. Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is that your voices are heard in the new Trump regime, administration?
I think that it's important for women to have, actually just everyone to have equal rights and to be able to be heard and have an opinion.
I think that women should have the equal opinion, and we shouldn't be scared to speak out for what we think and believe in front of Trump and his presidency, and we just shouldn't be scared.
My mother moved to California a few years before my brother Hunter and I were living with my father, and at 15, I had been working in the entertainment industry for 8 or so years and had been fortunate enough to be eligible for private health insurance through my union. Our family struggled financially. We'd been on public assistance for several years, and I was primarily responsible for making my own doctor's appointments. But still, I was nervous about taking this next stride towards womanhood, and it was actually my clinician at Planned Parenthood who suggested I speak with my pediatrician if I was seeking a referral. She was compassionate and professional and told me that she was happy to treat me for regular checkups and, when the time came, for STD and cancer screenings. No judgment, no questions asked. Planned Parenthood provided a safe place where I could be treated with gentle guidance. Now, I may have been 15 and surprisingly self-sufficient, but I'm sure there isn't one person here who has not been helped by Planned Parenthood directly or otherwise. When I knew I was coming to speak on behalf of women's reproductive and health issues, every single one of my girlfriends had a story about Planned Parenthood. They saved me so many times. One of my best girlfriends confided in me, saying, "They saved my ass and some other parts too." When I found out I had precancerous signs I never would have known about without my annual checkups, and her speech grew more emphatic and emotional as she described how the organization had helped her decide between treatment options. She was able to make some difficult decisions, deciding what was right for her body and her then partner, without anyone else's interference. My sister also used Planned Parenthood services for years after moving states. She'd been living her whole life in New York City, pursuing her dream to move to California. She had no contacts and no health insurance, but was able to regularly see a doctor at a Planned Parenthood clinic for screenings, advice, birth control, and checkups. For the more than 2.5 million patients a year that rely on Planned Parenthood services for cancer and STD screenings, birth control, safe abortion, and pregnancy planning, these are uncertain and anxious times. Lawmakers in 24 states have tried to block patients from receiving care at Planned Parenthood. Congress has voted to limit access to reproductive services 9 times. Boo. Yes, boo. There are very real and devastating consequences to limiting access to what should be considered basic health care. For millions of Americans, Planned Parenthood is often the only trustworthy and affordable clinic providing safe education, sex education, safe abortion, and life-saving services. President Trump, I did not vote for you. That said, I respect that you are our president-elect, and I want to be able to support you. But first, I ask that you support me. Support my sister, support my mother, support my best friend and all of our girlfriends. Support the men and women here today that are anxiously awaiting to see how your next moves may drastically affect their lives. Support my daughter, who may actually, as a result of the appointments you have made, grow up in a country that is moving backwards, not forwards, and who may potentially not have the right to make choices for her body and her future that your daughter Ivanka has been privileged to have. I ask you to support all women and our fight for equality in all things, including the fight to be recognized as individuals who know better for ourselves what is right for our bodies, better than any elected official, popular or otherwise. It is a great honor for me to be speaking here in front of all of you today. After the result of this November's election, I felt as a woman, as an American citizen, a great weight bearing down on my shoulders, the feeling that the near future would present many obstacles, confrontation, and division. My immediate thought after hearing the election results was, oh man, we have so much work to do. But once the heaviness began to subside, I realized that an opportunity has presented itself to make real long-term change, not just for future Americans, but in the way that we view our responsibilities to get involved with and stay active in our communities. Let this weight not drag you down, but help to get your heels stuck in. I pledge my relentless devotion to support women's health care initiatives. I will not stop fighting to make basic women's health care available to all. I believe with every fiber of my being that the conversations that we have with our partners and our doctors about what we do with our bodies and our future should not be made fodder for any politician, political agenda, lawmaker, and for-profit corporation. We must stand up for what are our basic human rights and always move forward, never backwards. The current political administration benefits from taking the power away from us. Don't give up your power. Don't let the feelings of helplessness make you complacent. I urge you all to make a difference on the ground. Volunteer. Volunteer with organizations that help women seeking a safe place to make some of the most difficult decisions of their lives. Donate to causes.
So this is the line trying to get into the metro. Into the metro. That's the metro. So this is the line trying to get into the metro. Into the metro. That's the metro. So this is the line trying to get into the metro. Into the metro. That's the metro. So this is the line trying to get into the metro. Into the metro. That's the metro.
Secret Service will investigate Madonna after singer says she wants to blow up the White House in expletive-filled rant at Women's March. The Secret Service has allegedly said it will open an investigation into Madonna after her DC speech. The pop icon told the huge crowd of protesters she'd thought a lot about blowing up the White House. An estimated 500,000 people participated in the Women's March on Washington in D.C. on Saturday. There were also 600 sister marches throughout the country and across the world with over 1 million total. Pink pea hats, knitted beanies with cat ears, became the accessory of the march in reference to Trump's quote, "Grab her by the PY." America Ferrera, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Moore, and Alicia Keys also spoke at the DC event. Their speeches were a call of action to the crowd, asking them to run for office, fight for reproductive rights. Ashley Judd also caused controversy reading a poem and taking a dig at Trump, saying, "I'm not as nasty as your own daughter being your favorite sex symbol, your wet dreams infused with your own genes." The Secret Service has reportedly said it will open an investigation into Madonna after the singer told the Women's March on Washington that she had thought about blowing up the White House. Donning a black pea hat, the music icon caused controversy by dropping the F-bomb 4 times, sparking a slew of apologies from broadcasters airing the protest live. She went on to speak of her rage at the election result, telling the crowd she had thought a lot about blowing up the White House but knew that it wouldn't change anything. According to the Gateway pundit, a spokesman for the Secret Service said they were aware of Madonna's comments and will open an investigation, but the ultimate decision whether or not to prosecute is the decision of the U.S. Attorney's Office. The Secret Service declined to comment on the matter. Madonna stated in her impassioned speech, "I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. But I know that this won't change anything. We cannot fall into despair. As the poet W. H. Auden once wrote on the eve of World War II, we must love one another or die. I choose love. Are you with me?" Her speech was met with raucous applause from the crowd of an estimated 500,000 people in attendance at the National Mall for the march. Tempers ran high as marchers took to Washington, D.C. to oppose Donald Trump's new presidency, with Ashley Judd joining Madonna in spewing lewd rants against the new president. The Hollywood actress and the pop star departed from the general spirit of inclusivity and calls for mutual respect with personal attacks not only on Trump but also his family, including daughter Ivanka. They say well-behaved women rarely make history, and Judd clearly took that quote to heart as she recited a poem written by a 19-year-old from Tennessee. "I feel Hitler in these streets, a mustache traded for a toupee," she said. "I am a nasty woman," she continued, referencing Donald's famous attack on Hillary Clinton. "I'm not as nasty as a man who looks like he bathes in Cheeto dust. I'm not as nasty as your own daughter being your favorite sex symbol, your wet dreams infused with your own genes. I'm not as nasty as Confederate flags being tattooed across my cities. Maybe the South is actually going to rise, maybe for some it never really fell." Judd continued to proudly repeat the phrase "I'm a nasty woman" as the crowd of thousands continued to cheer. "And our PIES ain't for grabbing, they're for reminding you that our walls are stronger than America's ever will be," she concluded. "Our PS are for our pleasure, for birthing new generations of filthy, vulgar, nasty, proud, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Sikh, generations of nasty women. So what today means is that we are far from the end. Today marks the beginning of our story. The revolution starts here, the fight for the right to be free, to be who we are, to be equal. Let's march together through this darkness and with each step know that we are not afraid. That we are not alone, that we will not back down, that there is power in our unity, and that no opposing force stands a chance in the face of true solidarity. And to our detractors that insist that this march will never add up to anything, F you," she proclaimed. Madonna also performed two of her classic hits, "Express Yourself" and "Human Nature," changing one of the lyrics in the latter song to "Donald Trump suck AD." The pair were just two of the big names to speak at the march's rally at the National Mall for a sea of protesters in pink pea hats, knitted beanies with car ears that have become the unofficial accessory of the march. Among other notable figures to attend the March on Washington were Cher, America Ferrera, Scarlett Johansson, Alicia Keys, and Amy Schumer. Madonna, whose name was on the list of speakers for the event, asked the crowd, "Are you ready to shake up the world? Welcome to the revolution of love. To the rebellion, to our refusal as women to accept this new age of tyranny," she continued. "Where not just women are endangered but all marginalized people. Where being uniquely different right now might truly be considered a crime. It took this moment of darkness to wake us the FK up," she exclaimed. "It seemed as though we had all slipped into a false sense of comfort, that justice would prevail and that good would win in the end. Well, good did not win this election, but good will win in the end." Protesters chanted "Thank you Obama," before the rally kicked off at 10 a.m. with a speech from actress America Ferrera at what is believed to be the largest inauguration-related demonstration in U.S. history. "The president is not America, his cabinet is not America," Ferrera began. "We are America, and we are here to stay. We march for our families, for our neighbors, for our futures. We march today for the moral core of this nation, against which our president is waging a war. We are gathered here across the country and the world to say, Mr. Trump, we refuse," Ferrera continued. "We reject the demonization of our Muslim brothers and sisters, we demand an end to the system murder and incarceration of our black brothers and sisters, we will not give our rights to safe and legal abortions, we will not ask our LGBTQ families to go backwards, we will not go from being a nation of immigrants to a nation of ignorance." She continued, "We won't build walls and we won't see the worst in each other and we won't turn our backs on the more than 750,000 young immigrants in this country. Together we, all of us, will fight, resist and oppose every action that threatens the lives and dignity of any and all of our communities. Marchers, make no mistake. We are, every single one of us, on attack. Our safety and freedom are on the chopping block and we are the only ones who can protect one another. If we do not fight together, we will lose together." Director Michael Moore called on the crowd to get active in politics during his speech. "Look at this, I can't even see the end of the crowd," he exclaimed as he began. "We're gonna have 1 million people here today. Look at this. Okay, we got through day 1, he congratulates the crowd. We in day 2 now of the Trump tragedy. So I woke up this morning, picked up the Washington Post, and the headline read Trump takes power. I don't think so. Here's the power, here's the majority of America, right here, he said as the crowd erupted in cheers. We are the majority. New president vows to end American carnage. Mr. Trump, we are here to vow to end the Trump carnage, he said, dramatically ripping up the Post paper and throwing it before joking, I'll pick that up later, recycle. The majority of Americans did not want Donald J. Trump in the White House, Moore continued. And we are here today as their representatives. I don't want to give the standard demonstration speech, you got a lot of great speakers here today. I would like to give you a to-do list of what we can all do starting immediately. We have to get busy, folks, we've got our work cut out for us. Number 1, I want you to make this part of your new daily routine. I want you to call Congress every single day, he said. I'm telling you, these calls work. When they tried to get rid of the Congressional Office of Ethics, the switchboard was jammed and overloaded. We shut it down with phone calls. 2 hours later they pulled back. That's how powerful you are. Make it part of your daily routine. Moore then called on the crowd to join organizations like Planned Parenthood and the American Civil Liberties Union. Join every group, let's make these groups huge, he said, mimicking Trump's favorite catchphrase. Moore then called on the crowd to take over the Democratic Party, as he said the old guard has to go. Number 3, you need to form your own personal rapid response team. We need new leadership, we need young leadership, we need women, we need people of color, gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender, he continued. He then called on the blue states who voted for Hillary Clinton to act a region of resistance. Moore finished, what you have to do in these states, you have to create laws to show the rest of the country what it's like to have health care for all, what it's like to not have mass incarceration, show the rest of America how it works, he said. Many of the march's organizers became visibly emotional as they looked at the sea of women before them. Feminist icon Gloria Steinem took the stage for some wise words of encouragement. She said, "You look great, I wish you could see yourselves, it's like an ocean. Thank you for understanding that sometimes we must put our bodies where our beliefs are, sometimes pressing send is not enough," she began. This unites us with those around the world who don't have computers, or electricity, or literacy, but have the same dreams and beliefs. I've been thinking of the uses of a long life, Steinem continued. You remember when things were worse. We remember the death of the future with Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Malcolm X. Steinem, a nationally recognized leader of the feminist movement, continued, now our great leaders like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are still with us, and remember how much we feared they might not be and how much threat there was on their lives. Now our honored Bernie Sanders is still with us, and not only with us but he's focusing on economic justice and a universal college education. And now Hillary Clinton is alive, and definitely not in jail, she added as the crowd laughed. She who told the whole world that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights. Steinem touched base on violence against females, abortion rights, the danger of a Muslim registry, and provided a message from the Women's March in Berlin, we in Berlin know that walls don't work. I have met the people, and you are not them, Steinem said of Trump. Just this march on Washington today required 1,000 more buses than the entire inauguration. This is the upside of the downside. This is the outpouring of true democracy that I have never seen in my long life. It is wide in age, deep in diversity, and remember, the Constitution does not begin with I, the President. It begins with we, the people. We are here and around the world for a deep democracy that says we will not be quiet, we will not be controlled, we will work for a world where all countries are decorated. We are at one with each other, we are looking at each other, not up, she concluded. Steinem finished on a note urging marchers to get personal, we are linked, we are not ranked. This is a day that will change us forever because we are together, each of us individually and collectively will never be the same again. When we elect a possible president, we too often go home. We've elected an impossible president, we're never going home. We're taking over. Make sure you introduce yourselves to each other, and decide what we're going to do tomorrow. Actress Scarlett Johansson spoke on behalf of women's reproductive health issues as she took the stage. She began by sharing personal stories about how Planned Parenthood had helped both her and the women closest to her. Johansson revealed how safe she felt when she first visited the clinic when she was 15 and had seen a change in her body and was living on the opposite side of the country from her mother. No judgment, no questions asked, Planned Parenthood provided a safe place where I could be treated with gentle guidance, she said. I'm sure there isn't one person here who hasn't been helped by Planned Parenthood, directly or otherwise. There are very real and devastating consequences to limiting access to what should be considered basic health care, she said, noting how the clinic was the only place for millions of women in the country to get treatment. President Trump, I did not vote for you, Johansson continued. That said, I respect that you are our president-elect and I want to be able to support you. But first I ask that you support me, support my sister, support my mother, my best friend and all of our girlfriends. Support the men and women today who anxiously await to see how your next move drastically affects their lives. Support my daughter, who may potentially not have the right to make the choices about her body and her future that your daughter Ivanka has had the privilege to have. Johansson concluded her speech with a call to arms for the crowd to get active in their communities and in politics. My immediate thought of hearing the election results was we have so much work to do, she said. Once the heaviness began to subside, I realized an opportunity has presented itself to make real long-term change, to view our responsibilities to get involved with and stay active in our communities. Let this weight not drag you down but help to get your heels stuck in, she continued. Don't give up your power, she tells the crowd. Don't let the feeling of helplessness make you feel complacent. Alicia Keys made a surprise appearance towards the end of the rally, doing a spoken word piece that quoted Maya Angelou's famous poem Still I Rise. We rise. We will not allow our bodies to be owned and controlled by men in government, or men anywhere for that matter, she began. We will not let our compassionate souls get stepped on. No hate, no bigotry, no Muslim registry, we value education, healthcare, and equality. Keys continued, we will continue to rise until our voices are heard, until our planet's safety is not deferred. Until our bombs stop dropping on other lands. Until our dollar is the same as a man's. She then asked the crowd to chant "We are here and we're on fire" before launching into her famous hit "Girl on Fire," a tune she sang at Barack Obama's inauguration at the 2013 inauguration ball. R&B singer Janelle Monáe, sporting a sweatshirt that read "Femme the Future," then took the stage. I just wanna say, I wanna remind you that it was women that gave you Martin Luther King Jr., it was woman that gave you Malcolm X, and according to the Bible, it was a woman that gave you Jesus, Monáe told the crowd. Don't you ever forget it? I want to say to the LGBTQ community, to immigrants, to women, continue to embrace the things that make you unique, even if it makes others uncomfortable, the Hidden Figures star continued. You are enough, and whenever you feel in doubt, whenever you want to give up, you must always remember to choose freedom over fear. Women will remain hidden no more. We will not remain hidden figures, we have names, she added, referencing the film. They cannot police us, so get off our areolas, get off our vaginas. We birthed this nation and we can unbirth a nation if we choose. We can stop completely if we choose. Monáe then led a call and response with the crowd and the mothers of the movement, a group of women who have lost their sons to police brutality that includes Gwen Carr, Eric Garner's mother. Celebrities weren't only on the stage when it came to marches not just in D.C., but New York, Los Angeles, and even Park City, Utah, where the Sundance Film Festival is currently taking place. Julia Roberts, Cher, Emma Roberts, Chrissy Teigen, Amy Schumer, Padma Lakshmi, Yoko Ono, Jessica Chastain, and Chloe Grace Moretz were among the stars who marched on the nation's capital. Cher said she believed Trump's presidency had people more frightened maybe than they've ever been. In Park City, Charlize Theron and Chelsea Handler led protesters in a chant of love, not hate, make America great. John Legend was also pictured at the march during Sundance as wife Tijan showed her support in D.C. Actresses Helen Mirren and Cynthia Nixon and Whoopi Goldberg joined a crowd of protesters in New York as they made their way to Trump Tower in the Upper East Side neighborhood. 3 times more bus parking permits were requested for the Women's March than Trump's own inauguration in Washington, D.C. As of 11 a.m. Saturday, 275,000 people had taken trips on the city's subway system. In comparison, there were 193,000 trips on the metro during the inauguration, and the rail system opened an hour earlier that day at 4 a.m. Saturday's ridership figures were more than 8 times a normal Saturday and busier than most weekdays. In addition, some 1,800 buses were registered to park in the city. Greyhound reported adding more buses from New York. And a commuter rail system in Washington added 5 times its normal capacity to help deal with the crowds. Thousands upon thousands of people marched in the wrong direction along Constitution Avenue NW, as the scheduled protest inched its way along Independence Avenue SW in the other direction following the rally. Many believed they were part of the actual protest and marched along following others as the sheer numbers of people prevented most from joining the official lines. Protest organizers said they had applied for a permit for 200,000 marchers, but that number had increased by a 150%er. The organizers declared on Twitter that 500,000 people had joined the protest in Washington, D.C., but police told DailyMail.com that they had no official figures. There was also only a token police presence, in sharp contrast to the thousands of officers who lined the route for President Trump's inauguration. One protester, Maddie Lorena, 24, from Maryland said, "I couldn't get to the main march, so I started walking with these people, and the number has grown to maybe over 100,000 in this direction. I suppose it's great in the way that it shows we are all united against this women-hating president." Behind her a man marched with a banner which read, "Free Melania." Kathy Hurst, 51, a private tutor from Seattle said, "There are many, many more people here today than got to be in Washington yesterday. The message is quite straightforward. Trump doesn't represent equality and decency towards all. We know he will hear our message." On her flight to Seattle, she asked the cabin crew to announce that she would buy drinks for any woman wearing a pink hat, and her bill came to $190. But she said it was money well spent. Simone Sanders, 22, from New Jersey, said, "I was here when Obama was elected, in 2013, and I was able to vote for him. My voice is the same, but this time I have an opposition voice to Trump. He don't respect women and the America that I know." Abby Griffin, 33, a nurse and Iraq veteran, said, "Equality is worth speaking out for, and that is why I am here. There is enough inequality in the US, and Trump isn't going to help with the way he has been going on with things and the things he has been saying. There is a lot of opposition to him, and he won't be allowed to forget that for 1 minute." The sheer popularity of the marches was evident throughout the country's office supplies stores as people scrambled to buy materials to make protest signs. Stores from New York to Maryland to Colorado had sold out of poster board, with numerous protesters sharing photos on social media of empty shelves. One shop worker at a D.C. office max said protesters for the Women's March bought up everything. The march's organizers said more than 600 sister marches were planned, stretching as far and wide as London, Sydney, Auckland, Berlin, and Cape Town in South Africa. There were more than 2 million registered marchers, according to the official Women's March website. As historic numbers turned out to dissent against the Trump administration, another group came forward to assert their support of the 45th president. Bikers for Trump, a self-explanatory organization who aimed to promote and coordinate peaceful rallies and events nationwide, held their own celebration while the millions of women marched nearby. As a counteractive event, the group set up along the inaugural route in Washington, D.C. to rally for their beliefs. On Thursday, the organizers of the Women's March on Washington released a list that included 27 names of revolutionary women they wrote had paved the way for Saturday's protests. The list included the likes of Gloria Steinem, Angela Davis, Harriet Tubman, and Malala Yousafzai, but Clinton, the first female presidential candidate for a major political party, was notably left off the list. Clinton's supporters created a petition, which has been signed by 7,500 people, to have her name included on the list, and tried to spearhead their movement on Twitter with the hashtag #HerName. The former Secretary of State did not attend the march, but did tweet her support on Saturday. "Thanks for standing, speaking and marching for our values at Women's March," she wrote. "Important as ever. I truly believe we're always stronger together.